Hey everybody, welcome back to this episode of Think Business. Looking forward to talking with Brian. Brian, is it Fritton?
Fritton, almost
Fritton.
got it.
Okay, yes, all right. But I've interviewed you before, and then after I went live, I was like, wait. Um, you were on in February, so it's good to have you back again. You guys build products and led engineering, design, and IT teams at companies with credentials such as Fortune 500 fast and growing companies. Tell me about what you're doing today.
Yeah. So, last time we talked in February, I think it was talking about how SMBs are more and more the target of attacks online.
Yeah.
And, the hot seat that I was in was responsible for defending a bunch of those types of companies. The rubber really hit the road when I got put in charge of cybersecurity for a firm that was hosting the data strategy hubs for a bunch of national political campaigns during the midterms. And, I had the pleasure and privilege of getting to work with a bunch of really smart, really expensive security folks, but saw a lot of my peers struggling to actually stand up a cybersecurity program. So, we kind of did what TurboTax did for tax prep, that taking this ocean of complexity that usually requires someone specialized to help you out and turned it into a step-by-step thing that you can do yourself.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Your company is, really this all-in-one cybersecurity solution, right? And it's for, I would say, businesses that in many cases aren't thinking about cybersecurity, right? The small business who's thinking, oh, it's not going to happen to me. And so talk a little bit about that on A, why it's important for the small businesses, and B, how easy it is to implement.
Yeah, so thankfully a lot of businesses are turning the corner now and becoming more proactive because they're seeing the types of impacts that are out there, right? So you go down the doors of a few doors on Main Street and you've seen, someone that get hit with ransomware and the types of impact that you have. But there are also more triggering events that, have small businesses have to react sooner than they ever have before. So a customer won't do business with you unless you have your security buttoned up. You can't get insurance nowadays unless you've got a number of these pieces put together. Or regulations and licensure, they're all accelerating, and you certainly meet the criteria sooner than you ever have before of having to comply with those types of events. And so reactive or proactive, it's something that people need to concern themselves with, and it's a competitive advantage, right? So
Yeah.
if you're stuck in a customer meeting, you've probably already won it, right? At this stage of the game, you beat out other vendors, you're agreeing on all their terms, and then that big customer goes, by the way, we need you to, comply with this 120 question Excel sheet from our compliance team. And you go, oh crap, right? But they're not going to send you any money until you can get your head on straight about that. So we take those events, those projects, and we basically build you a plan, and then we help you do the homework behind the plan by rolling on the vendors, generating the policies, training your staff, configuring things the right way, and we do it all online. There's no human in the loop.
Yeah. I love it. I want to go back to something you said. You just kind of alluded to costs, and I think a lot of times as people hear about this, they think it's just expensive, right? And
Yep.
they look at it as an expense, not necessarily an investment in their company. But you allow them to really do both, and so right. So just talk a little bit. I don't usually talk about what things cost on this podcast because I think prices are always changing. But so I just want to throw in a footnote. As of May 25th, 2022, the pricing is, but can change. I'm just speaking for you, right? So if you go to the website and you listen to this in a year, don't hold Brian to it. But just talk about the affordability of this.
Yeah. One thing I think you can hold me to is that pricing for us was very purposely designed to be a no-brainer and straightforward, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the security industry has a bad habit, and it's because of their focus mostly on large companies still, of A, pricing things to meet the budgets of large companies, and B, making them complex, usage-based, making sure they're squeezing every penny out of it. And if you got to put a bunch of vendors together, you got to go negotiate terms here and terms there, and they all kind of price each other differently. We wanted to just bake that all in, so you got just a price per user per month, and that's how we price it. So you're looking at the same price every user. Doesn't matter how large you are. We've got a couple different plans, and they're all priced per user per month.
Yeah, I love that. All right, so let's talk about you as an entrepreneur. Today I just interviewed the head of global innovation at PayPal, and we talked a lot about pretty much everyone over at PayPal is working hybrid. They have a choice what they can do. I interviewed somebody earlier today who has 70 employees. I was saying it's the most productive thing CEO or that his company has ever done, and they are loving it. And so talk a little bit about how you continue to grow and scale your business. I know you are a hybrid model as well.
Yep. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we've always found a lot of benefit of putting things in writing. And for a lot of people, I think that can feel like it slows things down. So we don't do like a ton of synchronous communication. We don't have a ton of meetings. Our stand-ups on our engineering teams are all through Slack and very short. But what we do is when we start things, when we create our plans, when we frame our ideas, when we debrief on how things have done, we do that in a document. And what I think it does for us is time zone doesn't matter. B is you got to read other people's perspectives first. You have to listen. And that I think is always a really valuable thing. And then when you write, it forces clarity, right? And so I can mutter on to you for hours in a meeting about an idea. When I need to write it down, you're not going to read 6 pages. You're going to read a page, and people get used to writing that way, and it forces the cruft out the door. So I mean that's a good way that we kind of stay competitive and efficient in the way that we do things.
I love what you're talking about, especially as you talk about your pricing is a no-brainer and straightforward. The most of the work I do is custom one-on-one, and then I do keynotes and trainings. But I noticed that I started about a year and a half ago a private coaching group that meets once a week, and I'm launching in a month this coaching group that is to me, my whole foundation was it's a no-brainer, right? It's because people are more hybrid, they are more structured, and so it's a planning video every Monday on a private Facebook page by me, custom every Monday. And then Wednesday, there's a inspirational one. And then Friday, it keeps people very intact on a consistent basis. Some live coaching, some meditations throughout, just like packed. And it's $15 a month.
There you go.
Because I wanted it to be, to your point, a no-brainer. And I think we're seeing a lot of the pricing these days being no-brainers because people are looking at, well, I can get more people in and I can actually scale faster, making it affordable.
Yep.
So can you just talk for, 30 seconds on just that mindset?
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's a desire to work the process, and I believe in value-based pricing for sure. We're not doing like cost of goods plus a margin, right? But the idea that pricing gets hidden or is something that you have to make complex in order to cover all your bases is, I think, a cop out. If you can't get to a point of simplicity on your pricing design, you haven't taken the time to think through your actual product offering. And your product offering is not just the thing you sell, the software; it's the whole experience, pricing included. And so it kind of shows me in a lot of cases, and I'll respect the companies that do this, but it shows me that if you're not transparent about your pricing and you're not clear about your pricing, I'm going to take a step back and reevaluate the business a little bit as a vendor.
Yeah. I hear you. And I also feel that way sometimes about all the upsells. You buy something and then the upsell and the upsell. Like, to me, it's like, this one is meant because I want to help 1 billion people and I want something affordable by the entire world. So it's $15 a month, and and you get a ton. So I love what you had to say. I think it's great.
It speeds up the sales cycle too, right? Because
Correct.
when you go through a demo and people are loving it and they get to pricing and you're not clear, you're not good on that, then
Correct.
you have a whole nother follow-up conversation probably, a whole
Correct.
nother chain of emails. But if you
Correct.
go, it's $15 a month, they go, okay, great.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, I love it. All right, so quick speed round, Brian. A recent book that's had a big impact on you.
Oh man. There's a book called Demand Side Sales by a gentleman named Bob Mesta, who invented the Jobs to Be Done framework alongside Clay Christensen. And it just turns the key on, hey, customer first. It's about the customer's problem and the job they're hiring you to do, not your solution.
I love it. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received.
Write things down.
Yeah, I love that. I talk about that a lot. Because I write everything down. And there's an old story that I always share about. The story goes that Albert Einstein, someone would ask him his name, his phone number, and he would go to the phone book and look it up. And people would say, "You're one of the smartest people in the world. How do you not know your phone number?" To which he would answer, "I don't like to waste my brain power with information that's easily accessible." So I love that. Brian, tell everybody who your ideal clients are, your website, how they can connect with you.
So we're specifically focused on small businesses in regulated industries. So it's like a rough cut between 2 and 200 employees in finance, healthcare, education, folks like that, people who have, something to lose, which is all small businesses when it comes to security, but especially these types of businesses that you're not going to be able to earn revenue, you're not going to be able to get the insurance coverage, you're not going to be able to be in business when it comes to compliance without it. Those are our customers. And, we're really serious about, we're a technology company, but we're really serious about helping people understand this and being a resource and putting the human in front of the technology. So if you want to get in contact, it's just Brian, Brian at havocshield.com.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks for sharing all this today. Some of the highlights in the community, people today have an attention span less than a goldfish, which is less than 7 seconds. And there is so much distraction. There is so much news, so much negative news that, in my opinion, one of the greatest things you said, and I say it all the time, write everything down. Make things a no-brainer for people. If your messaging is clear and your pricing isn't, it's not a no-brainer. People don't have the time or the energy or the patience to have to think too much, to think for you. Make it easy for people to understand what you do. Make it easy for people to buy, and make it easy. That is it. Brian, I appreciate your time. Think community, if Brian can help you, all small businesses, cybersecurity is something that we all need to be looking into. Call Brian. He can help you. Brian, appreciate your time, man. Thanks so much for being on the show again.
Thanks again, John.